So, I think there's one thing we've noticed about the IWC in the past couple of days, ever since the whole situation on SmackDown, which I will admit WWE could have handled better because I think honestly what happened was miscommunication. I think that's what happened. I think Ari Emanuel and Mark Shapiro and other parties involved, along with The Rock, came up with the decision to say, "Hey, you come with us, to TKO. You sign with us. You become part of the board of directors, and we'll guarantee you have a main event match at WrestleMania against your cousin." I think when that was made, there was some kind of miscommunication, if you will, between all parties. Like I don't think when they came up with that idea that they were aware that things had already been locked in and set for WrestleMania as far as Cody goes. Now I'm pretty sure they're aware as of right now that we had that was the plan. Okay, our bad, because last night they wouldn't let people have the #We Want Cody signs in the building, if they weren't listening, nor would they be passing out pamphlets that said #We Want Cody, or allow it to be acknowledged in the capacity that Michael Cole and Pat McAfee acknowledged it in. They wouldn't allow any of that to happen if they didn't realize, oops, maybe we should have communicated better. Now, the one thing they did make, affirmative yesterday, one thing they did make affirmative is nothing is official yet. They did clarify that, yes, it is speculated that Roman will face Rock, but nothing's official. And Cody has not yet made his decision. So whatever happens in 2 days during the press conference, in Las Vegas, that's when we'll get our answer. For all we know, this could potentially lead to Roman versus Cody in some capacity, but it's done in a way to where because I was just thinking about this too before doing this video, it either bothers the ego of Roman Reigns, of what they come up with, or basically they come up with one of the two solutions a lot of people are looking at. And that's either a triple threat, keeping that tradition of every 10 years at Mania, we have a triple threat since, WrestleMania 20. Or it's just a unique kind of way of the WWE Championship being defended. In the past 2 years, or past 2 decades, it's been triple threats. Or they go with the idea of Roman wrestling on both nights. Night 1 against Cody or The Rock, night 2 against Cody or The Rock. Either way, people kind of would get what they want. But there's another idea, like I said, I was thinking about before I started this video, and that is, what if they go out there and Cody insinuates he's gonna, or kind of gives off the feeling, the vibration, he's in, an insinuation that he's gonna go for Rollins, and then we find out maybe from The Rock or maybe from Triple H or some higher power that, whoever Cody chooses, that will be the match that closes out all of WrestleMania weekend. Like, that's the last match to go on. Do you not think, storyline-wise, that would bother Roman? Like, wait a minute, I'm the tribal chief. I'm the undisputed champion. I'm the box office attraction. I should be on last. Do you not think that wouldn't basically bother him? Because I think it would. And if that would be a direction they go in, you could probably have them basically manipulate Roman into saying, okay, Cody, I accept your challenge. I'll take you on. I'll be the one you face. I should be closing out WrestleMania against the Royal Rumble winner, so I'll face you. And then there you go. Maybe that's what they do. And then basically you get Cody smirking and Rock smirking, being like, we got you. And then you have them sign the contract, and maybe in the contract it states that Rock's going to be the enforcer or the referee to ensure that there's no interference, whatsoever. So that could be a direction they go in. And that's just something I thought about. It's like, what if they decide to come out and announce that since Cody is the winner of the Royal Rumble, he's going to close out WrestleMania in the last match of WrestleMania weekend on night 2 against whoever he chooses, and make it look like he's going to choose Rollins. And then, that gets under, Roman's skin, because then you can have Cody be like, well, Rollins is more of a fighting champion. He has a lot of points. And when you think about it, that championship is, in its short existence or resurrection or resurgence, back into the spotlight, has become more prestigious than that title. They could work it in that manner. And again, you don't think storyline wise it would bother Roman? It would. So to me, it's either gonna be one of the other two reasons I said. They're either gonna announce a triple threat, either announce, back-to-back nights for Roman to compete on, or they might just go the route I'm thinking that basically manipulates Roman into competing against Cody because he doesn't want to be, like the opening match of WrestleMania weekend or the main event of night one. He wants to be the one that closes it all out. So they could do that. But speaking of the whole IWC and YWC getting into a hissy fit, if you will, a hissy fit beyond measure. They did something yesterday that really got under a lot of people's skin, and really just showed how toxic and how, I guess what's the word I'm looking for? How toxic and visceral. Visceral. That's what it is. How toxic and visceral, the IWC and the YWC can be. Because, it's one thing to go out and voice your anger, express how you feel about, certain things happening in a way that you feel don't make sense or shouldn't make sense, all due to, in my opinion, miscommunication. Because that's how I look at it. But it's another thing to go out there and threaten somebody because of who they're related to. That's right. Ava Raine, the general manager on NXT, The Rock's daughter, Ava Raine, on social media was threatened on her Twitter account, her X account, with death threats. Yeah. People who didn't like what was going on or assumed what was going on were throwing death threats at her. They were doing that all because they didn't like the fact that Rock potentially is going to be facing Roman. It's one thing. It's one thing to it's one thing to get angry, voice your displeasure, be very visceral and, very, vindictive, if you will, in how you feel. Because at the end of the day, when you really think about it, all you are doing is venting. You're just letting all that anger, all that venting, all that anger, all that frustration, of how you feel come out in a very ventful, very ranting kind of manner. It's one thing to do that, because at the end of the day, you're letting it all out, even for the world to see. Then you take a deep breath and you're like, okay, let's see what happens. But it's another to do all that, online, on camera, whatever. It's one thing to do all that, but it's another to threaten somebody's life with death threats. All because you don't like what happened. So you know what Ava Raine did? Ava deactivated her Twitter X account. That's what she did. She deactivated her Twitter X account because of that. And she's basically telling them, hey, leave me out of this. I have nothing to do with this. But yet, they're targeting her because she's The Rock's daughter. You see, this is how crazy the IWC and the YWC has gotten over the years. And I'm not here to throw Tony Khan under the bus. But this also doesn't also help when you have a mark-out fan like him running a wrestling company, the way he does, and fans would rather prefer that kind of wrestling, which is good wrestling, don't get me wrong, which is good wrestling, over more, story-centric, character-driven wrestling that we see in other places like WWE and in MLW and such. It doesn't help that someone like that, who doesn't really have that much experience as a wrestling promoter, being at the forefront of the second biggest company in the country, if not the world, leading the charge, and people are seeing what he's saying online about certain things, being happy. Oh, somebody got fired from their job, who was the founder of Stardom, which is a company under the Bushy Road label. It's like it doesn't help somebody like that is encouraging this kind of behavior. And you know what's crazy? He hasn't even gone on record. He hasn't even gone on record on social media. You'd think, being a fan himself, he would go out there and say, hey guys, I know you're upset about this, but don't threaten somebody's life over it. I'm not happy either, but don't do that. Never once has he ever done something like that. And his behavior just encourages this kind of behavior. And again, I'm not trying to throw him under the bus, but unless he gets his act together, people are going to see what he's doing and say, hey, it's okay, and think to themselves, hey, it's okay if he's doing it and he runs AEW, it's okay for us to do it, if not take it a step further. You see, what people need to understand is if you're not happy about something, let your voices be heard. Last night, we saw the voices be heard on Raw. We saw the voices be heard in the house show that preceded it a night or two before. Fans are letting it be known they're not happy about this and they want resolution. And you have people like Cody saying, look, I love your passion, your dedication, your support. God bless you all, but believe me when I say trust me. When he's telling you, hey, trust him and what's about to happen, people will actually accept that. They will actually accept that. And you know what's even crazier too is, yes, you had some Rocky sucks, chants going out there, some Rocky sucks chants going out, but according to some reports from those that were there and those watching on television on USA last night, it wasn't as bad as it was, online or, previously in other venues WWE was doing live events in. They kind of said it was there, you could hear it, and it was acknowledged. Even Michael Cole acknowledged it, but basically it was kind of like dying out a little bit. It wasn't as bad. Because basically a lot of folks, even those in the arena, got their anger out of their system. And now they're just going to wait and see. But yeah, I'm telling you right now, the IWC, if you didn't think they'd get any crazier or not before, this just shows you how crazy and how out of the freaking minds they can get. And here's why I say that. Here's why I say that. And I'm probably going to have to piece this together because, after 11 minutes, 47 seconds, it goes into two parts. But anyway, let me explain why I say that. It's because of the fact that the IWC, the YWC, is consistent, is filled with a lot of privileged individuals that believe they should have control. They should be the ones calling the shots. That's what they believe. And again, going back to Tony Khan, not to throw him under the bus, but the thing is, the guy is a fan himself, and essentially he doesn't truly act like a boss unless he has to, unless he's basically backed into a corner. And his behavior doesn't help, online, when he tweets and everything. His behavior doesn't help. So it basically encourages this kind of behavior, as well. And when wrestling fans, the IWC and the YWC, see a guy like him, running a wrestling promotion, again, the second biggest wrestling promotion in the country, they believe, hey, if a fellow fan of ours can have all that power and saying over what happens, we should have that too. And that's their belief. Their belief is if they go out and say these kind of things, threaten people or relatives of certain individuals, they believe, if we do this, we'll get what we want. That's that's their mindset. I know that was a little over-exaggerating, but that's their mindset. They believe they should have ultimate control. And that's not true. Yes, wrestling companies will cater to fans and what they want. And a lot of people, a lot of sensible fans in the IWC and the YWC, who are not casual, but actually hardcore fans themselves, and long-time fans themselves, they may not be happy with, this decision either, but guess what? They are reminded, in fact, they remind themselves of, wait a minute, we wanted this match, now we're getting it, and this might be the only time we get it. They hear other people out there saying, hey, look at the situation. Rock's in his 50s, early 50s. He's got a busy schedule with the XFL, USFL, the United Football League, UFL. He's got that. He's potentially going to go back doing movies and everything. He's now serving on the board of directors for TKO Group Holdings. He's got a lot on his plate, and this might be the only time that's open to him. And a lot of people that take all of that into consideration upon hearing what others say out there online, here on YouTube and on Twitter and Facebook, they realize, what, they do have a point. I may not like, the direction of, how it's of where it's going, but they do have a point. And also the fact that they do realize, and others have realized this too, even though they haven't said it, they're noticing, when they look at the reported time frame of when this match, was made, when this match came to be and everything, to, the Royal Rumble, they realize, especially with some of the news that's come out recently, that there was miscommunication. Nobody communicated back to WWE or Triple H about what was going on. No one communicated to him or Nick Khan about what was going on. No one communicated to Cody Rhodes or Seth Rollins or Roman Reigns about what was going on. Well, I'm not sure about Roman Reigns, but you get the idea. There was miscommunication. There was nobody getting on the phone, if you will. You know, there was no one getting on the phone and going like, hey, we need to talk to you guys about the Royal Rumble right now. We have a little bit of change of plans going into WrestleMania, so you might want to change up the Rumble and everything. You know, they didn't do that. They didn't do that. And because of that, you have this situation where WWE is now having to turn this into a freaking work. Turn this into a work. Turn this into their favor so that the fan base, the IWC, the YWC, that's been very visceral, very threatening, very outspoken, and sometimes in a negative way, will basically get back on their side and forgive them for what they did. Will forgive them for what they did. Because this is the way, if they go in certain directions that I mentioned earlier, either it's a triple threat, Roman works 2 nights, or maybe they have Cody choose, or almost make it look like he's going to choose Seth because, we're going to close out WrestleMania. We're going to basically be the ones that go on last because this is a more important title. And it basically tricks Roman into accepting, whatever they do, basically, they're hoping, they're basically saying, they're sorry for the screw up. They're saying we're sorry for screwing up. You have Ari Emanuel, Mark Shapiro seeing this. You have The Rock seeing this and going like, hey, we're sorry for what we did. We should have communicated better. And now we're going to find out, what happens on Thursday. I mean, when you have Cody Rhodes coming out there and saying, hey, God bless you all. I appreciate your support. But believe me when I say this, trust me, then obviously something's going to happen. Something, is in the works. Even if it's at the last moment, or even if it is to basically rectify, a massive miscommunication or mistake, that happened in between, the month of January. And I'm not saying Rock and Roman's a mistake, but the mistake being, hey, we should have communicated better. We should have let people know right off the bat so that even if they went with Cody, Cody wouldn't go and point to Roman and all that. So to me, when WWE goes out and does, so when you see all this happening, yes, they hear you. And they're basically saying, look, we apologize. We messed up. We screwed up. And whatever they come up with on Thursday, hopefully it's satisfactory. Hopefully it mends some fences. But again, it's one thing to get angry and vent your anger on social media, vent your anger on YouTube, vent your anger on places like Twitch and Spotify and all that. It's one thing to do all that, but it's another to go out and threaten somebody's life because of who they're connected to, because of who they're related to, and because of that, she ended up, like I said, deactivating her Twitter, and she shouldn't have had to do that. But here you have this toxic fan base that believes, that they are so privileged, they should have control. I mean, I know sometimes I joke around with the fact that, if they had their way, they would do this and that. But you know what? Looking at this past weekend and how they reacted and how disgusting very toxic and how very visual, it shows the IWC and YWC to be as a toxic environment at times and how it makes people not want to get interested in wrestling that much. Again, I joke about, what they would do if they had control, but you know what? This is just an example of, I'm probably right about it. I'm probably right about that. That if they had the power, they had the control to say, okay, AEW versus WWE, Kenny Omega, we don't care if you're sick, you're going to get in that ring, and you're going to take on Cody Rhodes, and it's going to be a 90-minute Iron Man match with all the flips and kicks. I might joke about that, just like I did there, but you know what? Looking at how the IWC reacted to this, I would not be surprised if that's true, if there's truth to it. Because it is. Because the IWC, the YWC, let's be honest. They are full of not just, privileged individuals that believe they should control everything. But the YWC, IWC is full of a bunch of kids, and I say that very loosely, but a bunch of young generational kids that don't understand how things work. All they've been associated with is seeing all these indie shows in the early days when they were growing up, and that's their thought of, that's how wrestling should be. I can't wait to see it I can't wait to see what these bigger companies offer. I hope they're just like that. It's like they don't understand that sometimes certain things will happen. Now, there is the discussion of, well, if they knew about this on the 3rd and there was a miscommunication, not realizing that plans were already set in motion, how would that have worked? How would that have worked if, let's say injuries didn't happen, Punk was okay, Lesnar wasn't named in the scandal? What would have happened? My honest opinion is they probably would have had Punk win the match. That's what I think. I think if there was communication from the get-go, from the beginning of January, I think Punk would have won the Royal Rumble, and Cody would have had to try to get in to the WWE title match, or get his match somewhere down the line, or just have a regular match. Just have a regular match that basically begins his quest, his final chapter to getting the match with Roman. And that's it. Nothing else to it. Nothing else to it. Or, again, they could have already probably, again, if, communication, I should say, was, made, in my opinion, if communication was made, basically, I think they would have had it set up to where Cody would have won the Rumble, but Cody would have gotten Roman on night 1 and Rock on night 2. Oh, Rock would have gotten Roman on night 2. But there was no communication, and I think that's what I think that's the biggest issue here that we're not looking at. That Mark Shapiro, Ari Emanuel, they did not communicate after letting The Rock know, hey, you're going to get your match and everything. They did not communicate, and The Rock takes some blame here. They did not communicate very well to Triple H or his creative crew. Hunter, Paul, things are going to change. They didn't even do that with Nick Khan. Things have changed. We got this set up for Rock at Mania. This might, they didn't do any of that. Well, basically, I should say otherwise, and I'm doing this without a script or anything, but they didn't basically say, hey, Paul, we got this locked in for Royal Rumble, or not Royal Rumble, for WrestleMania. What do you think? And then maybe Paul Levesque, Triple H could have said, well, I have Cody, slotted in to win the Rumble, and he's slotted in to face Reigns. That's going to interfere. That's going to interfere. So, again, what people don't realize is there was possibly more so than anything, a miscommunication between all parties. And that is something that we have to really take into consideration. There was no like going on, like I said, there was no, getting on the phone and saying, hey, we need to talk to you, Nick. We need to talk to you, Paul. We got this lined up for Mania, Rock and Roman. What do you think about that? And then probably find out the same process. Oh, wait a minute. You guys got Cody locked up to win the Rumble and face Reigns as well? We need to see what we can do with that. And now we're in a situation to where basically they're going to have to come up with an idea, for the, for WrestleMania to make it, to announce on Thursday. Because again, Cody didn't make his choice yet. He didn't make his choice yet. And now that you added Drew McIntyre into the whole scenario, obviously it looks like they're going to pivot to McIntyre and Rollins, and Rhodes is going to get his match somehow. Or they might do Rollins, McIntyre, and Rhodes to where Rhodes gets the win, at WrestleMania. And then maybe, despite, there was some debunkness, to me, if PW Insider reported this, even though it was debunked by Fightful, and even PW Insider, I think there is some truth to it. Maybe we get the announcement that whoever wins the world title faces the winner of the undisputed title down the line to unify them. That could be what happens. We don't know. But the point is, the point is, what the IWC and the YWC has to realize is there was more than likely, and I think this is where all the common sense wrestling fans come into play. There was miscommunication. Nobody communicated with Nick Khan. Nobody communicated with Triple H and let them know, hey, we got this locked up for Mania. So that, Triple H and Nick Khan, mostly Triple H, could say, hey, well, that's great and everything, but we also have this plan for Mania. There was no communication. They didn't, TKO, Endeavor, they did not communicate, very well with Triple H and Nick Khan about what was going to happen. And that's on them, and now they're realizing, oh, maybe we needed to communicate better with them, because let's be honest. Hopefully somebody does acknowledge this at the press conference, that when you get down to it, Ari Emanuel, Mark Shapiro, they're still, the people in charge of Endeavor and by extension TKO Group Holdings, hopefully, like I said, hopefully somebody says this on Thursday that, when they make the announcement, maybe make an apology. Hopefully maybe somebody says, yeah, we do apologize for our mistakes. We underestimated the fan base, and hey, we're still learning. We're still learning about this. So hopefully things do get rectified. But again, when I look at how the fan base reacted initially, and then I hear them throwing out death threats to Ava Rain, The Rock's daughter, for something that she has no knowledge about, no business, being a part of. That just shows you how psychotic, how visceral, and how toxic this IWC YWC is, to the point that it basically detracts people from wanting to be a wrestling fan because they don't want to be part of that. And again, it basically justifies what I've said, that if they had the power, they, in all of wrestling, that they would do this and that, despite the fact that, maybe somebody's sick in the hospital trying to recover from from the disease, or whatever the name of the disease that Omega has, despite somebody having ACL ankle injury or torn tricep. It just shows that if they had their way, they would book things the way they wanted, despite injuries or not, because, we're the IWC, we're the YWC, we know better. No, you guys don't. No, you guys don't. And at the end of the day, we do have sensible people out there. JD from NY206 may not still be happy about this, but you can definitely tell that, just by, the thumbnail for his Raw review last night, and maybe what he'll say tonight with Andrew Baydella, that there's going to be a calmness. There'll still be some anger and disdain, but there'll be a calmness. Solomon's the same way. He might be angry and everything, but you could tell that basically by his thumbnail and everything, he's had time to calm down. Alex 6 of just Alex's World, give him credit. He's the more understandable one, because he's like, hey, we've been wanting this for a while, and yet you don't want to do it. To him, it's like, make up your mind. But I think he would honestly agree there is miscommunication. There was miscommunication here. So let's look at it that way. And and again, you have fans that may not be happy about this, that are listening to what others are saying and explaining, reading what others are saying and explaining, and coming to realize, oh yeah, you're right. We may not get this, we may not get this once in a lifetime match, or this once in a generation, or this battle for tribal chiefness match between Roman and Rock ever again. Because he's getting older, he's got a full plate on his schedule and everything now, so we may not get it. In the near future. This might be the best time. So there are people that may be angry about that, but are finally kind of acknowledging, hey, they're acknowledging the points people are making, and be like, okay, we get it now, we understand it, we may not be happy about it, but we get it. But yeah, to me, it's all about, there was miscommunication on both ends of the spectrum when it came to this, between, TKO, Endeavor, Ari Emanuel, Mark Shapiro, Nick Khan and Triple H, Rock and Cody and all that. There was miscommunication, obviously. And hopefully they've worked that out. Because I think, again, they might say this during the press conference, maybe not, that, let's face it, Emanuel and Shapiro, they're still learning about the wrestling business. It's a little different. My finger just hit my camera there. I was just checking something. It's a little bit more different than, let's say, any of the other companies or endeavors they have connections or under the belt, right now. So they're still learning, let's be honest. And they might mention that during the press conference. But also, when you look at it, again, it's not just miscommunication, but it's miscommunication to where fans don't understand that sometimes things like this happen, and, you just got to roll with it. You just got to understand why it's happening. Don't just get angry and everything because you're not getting what you want. Because at the end of the day, I think what it really is, what it really is, isn't anger of, oh, Rock's coming in and he's taking over and he's shoving his ego down everybody's throat. No, it's not that. It's not just that. It's the fact that people are afraid that we're going to have to deal, we're going to have to deal maybe with another year of, Cody having to finish his story, and Roman and Paul Heyman getting on his phone, like we've been seeing him do at times, and go, call Roman Reigns. People don't want to deal with that anymore. Or they don't want to deal with another few months of that. That's what they're afraid of. They're afraid of that. And, if that's the case, then just, in my opinion, why don't you just say that? Why don't you just come out and say you are afraid that Cody's never going to finish his story and we're going to have years and years of Roman running roughshod over the company? Why don't you just say that? Huh? Why don't you just say that? You know why you won't say that? Because you know if you do, it just proves the fact that you still believe WWE is being ran by a senile old sicko. That's your belief. That's your belief. But again, I think it's all about the fact that there was miscommunication and everything between both parties, and we have to really look at it from that perspective. We also have to look at the fact, again, that we need to leave people out of this. We need to leave people out of this that don't have no involvement in it. Because, in closing of this video, because I know it's going a lot longer than it should, it does show us that not only was there miscommunication, but it shows us how visceral, how sickening, how psychotic, how disheartening this IWC, YWC, internet wrestling community, YouTube wrestling community can really be. And like I said earlier, and I said throughout this video, it proves my point of if they had the power, they do this and that because, this is what we want. Injuries and a disease be damned, we get this match. We want this match, we're going to make it happen. That's how they are, because they are part of a privileged generation that doesn't understand things change. Things change. I mean, and here's the thing too. Cody might have been somber about it and disheartened about it, but he's a professional. If he's coming out and thanking people for the support and everything and saying, hey, trust me, he understands business. He knows, hey, there's more to this than, we're being led on to believe, than what we're being led on and to believe or what we're seeing. He knows there is, and he probably knows what the end result's going to be. And you also have to understand, this is a guy, in Cody Rhodes, this is a guy that when he was EVP at AEW, what did he do? What was one of the first things he did to prove he wasn't an egomaniac? What was one of the first things he did? He put himself in a world championship match against Chris Jericho with the stipulation that if he did not win, he would never challenge for that title for the rest of his AEW career. And guess what? He did not win, and he never challenged again. Now, could he have challenged? Could he have used his EVP status to say, I'm overturning the decision, I'm going to keep challenging for the belt till I win it? Yeah, he could have done it, but he didn't. Because he knew that if he did, it wouldn't be best for AEW. It wouldn't be best for business. It wouldn't be good for the future of the company. It would just prove that, he along with the elite just conned Tony Khan into making this company so he could be a world champion. He knew that he knew it would be a disastrous decision to make. So he kept his word. He kept his word. And people need to understand. People need to understand and be reminded of that. That he could have overturned that with his status of EVP, but he didn't. So he understands business. He understands sometimes he may not be able to, that sometimes the most unpopular decisions, which that was, a lot of fans weren't happy about it at first, have to be made. To basically ensure the future of the product. And that's what he did. And AEW is still going strong. Yeah, it wasn't a major, it didn't play a major role in AEW being the success it is today, but it definitely helped set the standard of, hey, it's not just about the elite like you all thought it was, it's about everybody else. So at least, basically he showed he could be a professional and he can make the tough decisions, even if they're unpopular, but for the benefit of the business. So, he obviously knows something's going to happen, and he might know the result. He may know the answer, but he's not going to tell us just yet, because he knows whatever the answer is, because again, I'm sure he knows about it. He realizes, you know what? Sensibly, that makes sense, and I'm willing to roll with it. But, again, going back, to the IWC, YWC, it just shows you how sickening and disgusting they are without an understanding of all that. Without being reminded of something like that. It's disgusting, it's disheartening. And again, it validates what I've said before. And others have said. If the IWC, YWC had the power, they'd basically book even the most injured people into a 60-minute, 90-minute Ironman match because, we want our matches. We want our dream matches. We want this, we want that. Well, let me close it out by saying this to the IWC, YWC. On behalf of myself and all the other sensible, people that are wrestling fans, and been wrestling fans maybe for a lot longer than you, let me just close out by saying this. Grow the fuck up. Grow the fuck up, and as the old saying goes, let it play out, and don't threaten other people's families because you don't get your way. Grow the fuck up, let it play out, and stop whining, bitching, and complaining because you have a mark running the second most successful wrestling company in the world, and he doesn't act like a real boss unless he's basically criticized and pushed into doing so because of certain things that happen or go beyond his control. Or maybe the people that have distributing license for his show on their network might not renew him. So do us a favor again and grow the fuck up, IWC, YWC, grow up. But let me know what your thoughts are, guys, on what I had to say here. And until next time, I'm out.